Okay, going live. Um, and we're live. It is Thursday, August 5th, 5:02 p.m. Eastern Time, 2:02 p.m. Las Vegas time? Or 3:02? 2:02? What time is it there, Scott?
It is 2:02, excuse me.
Okay. So, and it's cheese night. And Scott has the monologue.
I do. Thank you very much. And can I just say what a pleasure it is to be back together with y'all on cheese night, even when it's 2 p.m. here.
And displaced by a day.
Yeah, exactly. And thanks for making the adjustment. So what? Oh, can people? Oh, okay, you shut up. Okay, because that was really loud. Okay, so what happens is that I get to Las Vegas. What was it? Yesterday morning, and of course, I didn't do any research whatsoever about like how to pick up my badge. Because these conferences are extremely expensive. Like Black Hat costs something like $2,300 to get in. It's really expensive if you're an academic and you can prove you're a full-time academic. Actually, it's only $900, but still, it's a lot.
The Yale Law School discount.
Yeah, right, right, exactly. Because, well, compared to Google and all those places, it is poor. So whatever. So like, picking up your badge is like a super important thing because it's a lot of money and you're not going to get in otherwise. And then I see that it says that I finally look at the email that my assistant had sent me about how to pick up my DEF CON badge. And it says that you need to bring proof of vaccination, which of course I didn't bring because I thought I was coming to Las Vegas. And I thought like in Las Vegas, there were no rules about anything. And besides, I have like a photograph of my vaccination card, with all the serial numbers and everything like that. And I have the Yale system showing that and so I get this like terrible, awful feeling in the pit of my stomach, I'm a little kid again, and it's a field trip today, and I got to school and I forgot my goddamn permission slip.
Oh man, I get that feeling all the time, about all kinds of things, because I was the kid who went to an Orthodox day school and routinely forgot to bring my kippah because I was not religious. And when you did that, they made you buy a kippah. It was a kind of daily thing.
How many did you end up with?
What?
Thousands and thousands.
I never got the, Scott is lost in thought, one day he's going to be a deep thinker thing. It was more like Scott's an irresponsible idiot. So I have to okay, well, maybe they'll accept a photograph of my vaccination card or the Yale thing. So I look through the policies, and they're like, could not be more explicit that the only thing they will accept is the CDC card, the one thing I don't have, right? So, first of all, they're really smart, because what they did was they said to check to get your badge, we contracted with an independent vendor who will assess whether you meet the criteria. The criteria is only that you have the CDC card. So basically what they're saying is, you can't speak to us because it's not our decision. It's like the oversight board, right? They just said, basically, don't come to us. So there's just no way. They're like, photos don't count. Other kinds of state passes don't count. It has to be CDC card, which I think is hysterical.
Wait, please tell me, Scott, tell me that you responded to this by having a temper tantrum about your HIPAA rights. And that there are multiple people who filmed you being a Karen, and having and that you're now going to be a Fox News superhero because you demanded that there be no vaccine mandates and vaccine passports at DEF CON and Black Hat.
I'm like, another victim of the COVID pandemic power grab. Like I didn't have my card and therefore couldn't get the badge to get into the in-person briefings. And if that's not fascism, I don't know what is. So what happens is I called my wife, right? And I don't want to talk about what the whole deal is. Like, not allowed to talk about my wife on the show for good reasons. But let me just say, she's a busy person. She's a very busy person. So I'm calling. I said, can you stop what you're doing and find a vaccine card and go out and FedEx it? And she's like, wait, you didn't bring it? It's whatever. I had to go through the whole thing about, no, I didn't bring it. No, did you know beforehand? Yes, I knew. I should have known. Whatever. I didn't read the email. Okay, whatever. Go through the whole thing, right? So she's like, where is it? And so go through the whole hunt of the house. Well, maybe I left it in my jacket, and nobody, where's your jacket?
Oh my God, you didn't even know where it was. Tell her.
No, I didn't know where it was. And then at one point,
it might be in the cheese drawer in the refrigerator.
Yeah, it was.
I hope she said to you, "We are not allowed to have fun anymore."
So, but the thing is, she's being really nice, but of course, it is irritating after a while. It's well, if you don't know where your coat is, does it make sense for us to hunt for your coat if you don't even know that the card is in the coat? And I'm like, no, maybe that's right. Maybe look again in the front. Anyway, go to the thing. And then, she's like, I get a email from her. She can't find the phone because she put it down to look for something. So now I'm another step further away from my goal of getting into DEF CON because my wife can't find her phone that she'll be using to find the DEF CON card, the vaccine card, to go to FedEx to me. Now, I don't know, I have to have it sent to the Mandalay Bay. There's 8 billion people. Will FedEx even find me? I have things like that finally. It turns out that I said, did you look in the, it turns out that it was, my wife found the phone, okay? Doesn't matter where it was.
Important first step.
Yeah, you're right. We're popping the stack and we're moving. She found the phone. Through the phone, we were able to find the vaccine card. I was then able to, but anyway, it took about 5 hours, but for the vaccine, for all the address and everything to get it done. But it was that sense of not just having flown all the way to Las Vegas and not being able to go to DEF CON, but also just to be that little kid again, to be that who doesn't have the permission slip. And the thing is, you may have a, there's kind of with your principal or your teacher, you have this thing that if you plead with them and you these are security people, no way, it ain't working with them. That's the first thing. And the second thing is that it's so ironic that this is a hacking conference. It's the premier hacking conference in the world. And the only thing they'll accept is a piece of paper. There's absolutely there's no technological thing.
It's because they're hackers.
Right? Exactly.
They know that if there were an app for this, you could spoof it.
Yeah, so I said this to my friend, and he then said, yes, but how much easier is it to hack a piece of paper than to hack a website? So it's true, you can hack a website, but it's much easier to hack a piece of paper which doesn't even have a stamp on it. So like that's the thing.
Like you literally could have printed it on cardstock.
Right, exactly. Right. So the thing is, like, the issue is not could a hacker hack it. The question is, what's easier to hack, the piece of paper or some official looking Excelsior pass from New York State? Probably the former, because I think you just need Microsoft Paint.
Now, I would like to propose a very simple solution to this problem.
Yeah.
That I'm being totally serious here. This is in no sense a joke. And the only reason people are going to think that I'm joking is that the Liberties Industrial Complex of the right has convinced us that this is, that these kind of talk is like the first step to seizure of your Bibles.
Right.
There are two big entities. One is the U.S. federal government, which wrote those little cards for everybody, and the Center for Disease Control, and the other is Google and Apple, who produce between them the operating systems for every single one of these. And if we could get them to talk to each other, the CDC could tell Google and Apple who is and who is not vaccinated, and they could put it out on your phone, and it could be embedded in your operating system that if you were needed to show proof of vaccination, like say a vaccine passport to get into DEF CON, you would whip out your phone, assuming you could find your phone, which is a problem for Scott's wife, but not a problem for Scott. You whip out your phone and you say, let me text it to you, and you send them a little code, or you show them a little, QRC, thing. You hold it up, they go ding, and they're like, oh, he's fucking vaccinated, let him into DEF CON. And there are only two entities that we need to cooperate to do that. One is the Center for Disease Control, run by my old high school buddy, Rochelle Walensky, who should come on in lieu of fun and defend her agency's failure to do this. And the second is Google, which makes Android, and they should come on this show and defend their failure to do this.
Fuck it, Ben. Let's just subpoena them.
Damn straight. We'll be the cyber ninjas.
I just say, let's play hardball.
I want to just say for a second, I know that you guys, this is like, Scott, this is giving me, I don't think I told you, on the flight back from Montana, I had my, while all the wheat berries went all over the airport, and I was picking them up, and I put my vaccine card and my passport in like the side pouch of my backpack that I like had, like, I've traveled with it there before. It's not that big a deal, but I just kind of popped it in, and either somebody stole it or it got knocked out in like the overhead bin, and I lost my vaccine card and my passport.
That means you have to get vaccinated again.
I mean, like, maybe. I mean, this gives me great agita, this story that you're telling, because I'm just like, okay, there's just going to be things that are closed to me to do if I don't have a stupid, like, vaccine card printed on. Anyways, it's
She
horrible.
doesn't have a vaccine passport or a regular passport.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I'm really sorry to hear that, because
I mean, there's nothing to do. I filed all of the lost things. I've called every airport. I've called Delta. They're searching for it, but I think it's like gone. And I've searched everywhere. I'm gonna wait like 2 weeks to see if it shows up in the mail, and then I'll start like filing for a new one. But like,
that sucks.
All of my stamps, I had like 10 years of travel in there. Anyways, and my kind of historic vaccine card, which they won't give you a new one.
What?
They won't give you a new one. They won't give you a new card.
Yeah, they won't give you a replacement.
there's no replacement card. So hold on to yours, like tape it to your body, because like they won't even give you a new replacement card. They like literally like will give you a letter certifying that you've been vaccinated, but they won't give you the card.
We got like a whole speech after we were vaccinated. They're like, "Do not lose this." I was like, okay.
Wow. Okay. But I will say that Black Hat didn't do it, but DEF CON did, and they were. I just got my thing today. They were unbelievably strict about it. I mean, there was like they really went through a whole like rigid protocol for it. So anyway, yeah, that I'm sorry if that's an issue. If that'll be an issue for you. I mean, the Excelsior Pass of New York State, which if you've gotten the vaccine in New York State, did you get it in New York State, Kate?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
yeah.
Well then the Excelsior Pass is like unbelievably easy to set up if you had it done near. Did you get it set up, Genevieve?
Yeah, I did. It takes like 3 minutes, like if that. It's
really?
So
yeah. I have pictures of my card.
Yeah, that's it. That's all.
That's all
you just need the dates and the information. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So I feel like the reason why they did it this way with the cards this time was that it was instituted like at very late in the day, but that as this becomes like a thing, like now to get into New York City restaurants, you need proof of vaccine. But I think just the Excelsior Pass is that. So
it is. That's what John said. He sent that to me, and I've got that set up. So I think I'll be fine until and then I'll carry the letter around or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm just like mad at myself for putting it all in the same place. But like kind of as we learned from that wonderful philosopher whose name is escaping me about the Stoics.
Massimo?
Massimo.
Right? Yeah. And I was like, I'm doing a very Massimo approach. Like, there's nothing I can do. It's gone. I looked everywhere. I'm just fucked.
You better order another passport now because it takes months and months and months.
Oh God.
And you have travel coming up.
I do have travel coming up. Oh, that's a good point. I will order it now. I'll do it.
So I have a serious
you guys
question.
Talk amongst yourselves.
I have a serious question for Scott.
Yeah.
Because Scott is in a hotel room in Las Vegas.
Yes.
And I want to know what he can see out of his window.
Oh, I'm at Caesars, and I have a good view out of my window. Let me show. I was going to show everyone, and I was going to set it up this way, but it's so backlit.
Because I have a story about views out of hotel rooms in Las Vegas.
Okay. Here we go. Can you see, or is it too?
Oh, that's all right. Yeah, that's okay. That's a good Las Vegas view.
Yeah, exactly.
You have something totally fake, a swimming pool, and a desert in the background. It's kind of
what's the fake thing?
I don't know, the Roman balustrade thing.
But is it made out of cardboard? It's a real fake Roman balustrade.
Well, that's the essence of Vegas, is a real fake. You know, when I was a small child once, my mother took me to a fair, and, there were these carnies trying to get you to throw beanbags at things. And one of them promised the prize, if you won, was a real shark's tooth from a simulated shark. And my mother thought that was very funny. And that's how I learned the word simulate, because I didn't know what it meant. And she explained to me that he was promising, a real shark's tooth from a fake shark. And I think that's the perfect metaphor for Las Vegas.
Yeah,
it's like, it's actually it's the realest fake Eiffel Tower in the world. It's a perfect, real fake Venice. You got your real Sphinx from a fake Egypt. It's exactly like that, and I think it's beautiful. I love Las Vegas.
Can I be just just introduce so you introduced the postmodern note. I want to introduce the philosophical. At least this is what Las Vegas means to me. which is that like Plato had this idea, right, that the real world, not the real world, right, that the world that of the senses, the world that we see, is not the real world. The real world is the real world of the forms, and that this is like in some sense a projection, a shadow of what is real. And so the metaphor of the cave, of the philosopher leading people out of the cave to the light, is like seeing that that the world of the senses is not real. It's really, I feel like that it's Plato's understanding of what we think of as the real world is like what we think of Las Vegas compared to the real world. You know what I mean? Like when you see a fake
Except that
Eiffel
Plato's
Tower,
not funny, and Las Vegas is consistently funny.
oh, I think Plato and Socrates, I think they thought that human beings were really funny in their foolishness. I think they were. Anyway, but that sense of it, just like and what's upsetting in some sense for I think some people who go to Las Vegas is that you see other people not realizing that it's fake. That is, that there's a way. Yeah,
that's part of what I love about it.
Right, but so that's why I feel like it's like the Plato philosophy, like the philosopher thing. We're like, some people call them coastal, are looking at other people as Plato thought the philosopher looked at ordinary people, mistaking the real world for.
I understand much better now, because originally I thought you were going with we're leading people back into the cave, and that is the Vegas allure. It's like.
So I want to tell you my story about the last time I was in Las Vegas. Brookings has a relationship with the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, which is my favorite university in the world. And I mean that without a trace of irony. Just one statistic to blow your mind about the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. This is the second most diverse university in the country after Rutgers. And 75% of the undergraduate students there are the first person in their family to go to college. So you're talking about just an incredible engine of upward mobility in American society. Las Vegas is one of the very few cities in the world that has, or at least in the United States, and I think probably in the world, that has higher than average standard of living and with lower than average educational attainment. And the reason for that is that there are a huge number of people who are working in the entertainment and hospitality sectors, and these are, everything from car dealers to strippers and dancers, and they have often very low educational attainment, but these are very good paying jobs. And so they have kids who are likely to actually go to college. And the University of Nevada, Las Vegas is this engine by which you translate family backgrounds like that into actual professional careers over time. And so I think the University of Nevada, Las Vegas is fascinating, and I love it. And Brookings has a relationship with it, and in which we sometimes get asked to go spend a week out there and give some lectures. I don't get to participate in it much because national security and law are relatively far from the minds of most students and faculty at UNLV. But I was asked to go and spend a week out there once, and I decided that if I was going to do that, God damn it, I was going to stay on the Las Vegas Strip, which I hadn't been in, I was going to actually, understand the economy of the place. So I booked a room at the Bellagio because it was my Ocean's 11, kind of fantasy of the of Las Vegas. And I check in, and I go upstairs to a room very much like the room Scott is in now, and I look out the window and there is Trump Tower, Las Vegas. The Trump Hotel in Las Vegas, giant and gold, glinting in the sunlight. And I snapped a picture of it and I tweeted it with something plaintive, like, what did I do to deserve this? And that is my story about Scott's hotel room.
That's great. I mean, he doesn't. Is there a Trump hotel in Las Vegas anymore?
Well, I don't know. There was a few years ago.
Yeah, right. Yeah, because
hang on,
yeah.
I'll find it.
Yeah. By the way, so I just want to say, like I was probably the highlight of the year in the cybersecurity world is giving the first keynote at Black Hat, and
yes, it's still there, and it's still glinting gold if you click on the link. Yeah, and it's and I really felt very affronted and violated by it.
I actually, I mean, that's kind of a funny story, and I'm sorry to laugh at your pain, but still kind of funny. I was going to say that so the person who gave the first keynote at Black Hat was Matt Tate, Point All the Things, who was on the show a couple of weeks ago, and that guy is just so damn smart. I mean, he really makes me feel bad about myself. You know, I mean, really, like, he just talks, and I think, are you just
in the best way?
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, exactly. Like, you just think, oh my God, you just have many, many, many neurons, and he did a fantastic job, it's really fun. You go from session to session on kooky topics that are and interesting topics. It's really a tremendous amount of fun, actually. So that's the fun thing. The not fun thing is that it is kind of disgusting. The like Las Vegas. I mean, the Strip, at least. The Strip is a kind of sad. I don't know. It doesn't highlight the best in all of us.
I hate it. We did like a huge Southwest Parks tour for spring break a couple years ago, John and I, and he was like convinced that I would actually really maybe get a kick out of Vegas. And I was like so depressed, like walking through and like just seeing, like, I'm always depressed in casinos. I find them horribly depressing. But I thought that there would be like, we have a friend who regularly goes to, we have a few friends, it's kind of common actually, people who are really good at like coding and stuff are also sometimes professional poker players or professional blackjack players or amateur or the other, but like he keeps, every time he like goes for a long walk, he like tells us, like, if something happens to me and he's like going on a hike by himself, remember to scatter my ashes at my favorite blackjack table and like at the whatever. And I'm just like of all the things to tell people, like, that is like, I almost like wouldn't want to die just because I wouldn't want people to know that that was my last wish.
I have so many questions. Is it the table? Is it the dealer? Is it the like what?
Also, would it still be your favorite blackjack table if it had ashes?
Yeah, no.
Remains all over it?
Like a dead guy on it? Yeah, no, I don't know, but it's just like
the table of doom.
I know. I think it's kind of a very funny story, but I don't get it at all. I'm glad that you like, I think that John finds it like kind of like farcical, kind of like not the dead guy thing, but the like Vegas itself, like exactly for the reasons that you're kind of talking, like people think
I find it mesmerizing.
Yeah,
and I've never like gambled. I've never, like, at all, ever.
Same.
I've never put a dime in a. But I love walking around it and watching the gross stuff that Scott is referring to. I love the real fake kitsch thing. I love the giganticism of the complexes.
That's a great word. That's such a right. It's a form of giganticism, which it's not. Yeah, it's not real.
It's not real, and I also love how disposable everything is. That each of these hotels, every 10 years or so, they just blow it up and they build another one. Which
that too.
I love that.
But like the other thing is that when I was there, and you can imagine this, is like I have no idea what any of the rules are at any of these tables, and so I have like some money, and then I like go and hand it to the lady, and she's like, "Get that! Do not put that in my face." I'm like, "What's going on?" She's like, "Put it on the table. You put it on the table." I'm like, "Whoops."
A lot of norms. A lot of gambling norms.
It's all norms. But I'm like just kind of like like just completely innocent and blundering through. But like it's exactly like Scott said with the security guys at like Black Hat. It's just like they don't care that you're an idiot that doesn't know the rules. They're going to like chase you down and like tackle you and drag you off the premises if you like happen to do something that is like horribly antithetical to the norms or the rules of.
But it's not. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Genevieve.
No. I have a deep fear of accidentally doing something that will make me look suspicious, like innocently doing something and then being pulled into a back room where it's like very like cowboyish, and like I don't know what you have in this governance of this bizarre place. Like it makes me very on edge.
Yeah, I mean, right. That fear of being framed and but the thing is, casino security is probably the most sophisticated security there is, and in fact, one of the things that they do use is infrared sensors to see when your face lights up, heats up.
Yeah.
Because indicative of kind of like you may have a very strong hand or you might be cheating or something like that. That feels like that feels invasive to me. Like
a HIPAA violation, perhaps.
They're not a healthcare provider. They're really not looking out for your health.
Don't bring facts to a feeling story, Ben.
By the way, I just wanted to say that's right. The thing about my card, the story that I led off with, was another example. I'm another victim of this rampant HIPAA violating, which COVID has brought about. It's really quite terrible.
It is terrible.
It really is terrible. And I'm really glad that we haven't been doing, like, I'm glad nobody said, "How was Las Vegas?" Because that, like, it's asked directly, that would have
Or
been.
How are you feeling? Are you experiencing jet lag? Are you tired? These are all inducements to HIPAA violations.
No, that first of all, we have that on our cheat sheet. Those are the not asks, kind of thing.
Should we bring in some audience members?
Oh God, I forgot
to
about
violate
that.
their HIPAA rights.
I just applied. Yeah. I just reported my passport lost and applied for a new one expedited. So
Yay.
Wish me luck that it arrives before.
You're going to get the new one, and someone's going to find your old one, and they're going to come at the exact same time.
I know. That's like, I'm very aware. Maybe I can sell one. I didn't say that. That was a joke to people who are watching me from the federal government.
So I think we should start with an invasive medical question from each guest, each audience member we bring on.
No, Ben. Absolutely not.
Absolutely.
I'm just going to mute you.
We're going to do this.
But there is also a place for the facial body temperature sensing in our COVID world.
It's built into Crowdcast now.
If
Kate can see.
It would be great surveillance.
Kate can see your emotional response on the captaining
dashboard
panel.
I would love it if it subtitles it and it's just like stressed, giggling, confused.
Oh man, there's
it's like,
so
have
much.
you ever seen Have you ever seen when like it breaks on like the image recognition that they use? Hi, Richard. Hold on one second.
Hello.
Hi, what's your platelet count?
Muting you. But have you ever seen when like there are images and they've been tagged as something so that they can attach ads to them and they break and all of a sudden you just see the image label name? Have you ever seen this happen? And it's just like picture of puppies or like picture of whatever and it shows up instead of the picture. That's like kind of what I imagine ours would be like. And so I would like everyone to think about what your image tag would be. If suddenly your image on In Lieu of Fun broke, what would be the default image tag that like AI would have set up for whatever your image is?
I love this so much.
Yeah, but just make sure that that's not personal health information.
Well, like Ben's, I think would be like sloth. Like it would be like the image
Because I'm
like,
hanging?
Yes, because because you're in this hammock, and I feel like that the computer would have just been like sloth. That's a sloth. I've got it. Nailed it. Like
yeah, mine would be hi Billy Rubin.
That's pretty good.
I love it.
Okay, we'll wait for Genevieve's and mine in a second. And Richard has a really good, really great question for us.
Richard, who's Billy Rubin, is in solidly in the normal level, has a good question for us.
So I'm like the cooking moron, and so the worst thing that's happened this week is my wife went out of town, so I have no help trying to get myself out of the hole that I've dug, and so I made this potato salad, and it was supposed to be good, but it has no taste.
In lieu of fun, we have tasteless potato salad.
Yeah, and so it's not a wholly typical potato salad. It has tomato and basil and olive oil. I guess olive oil is pretty typical, but
Wait,
salt.
this is a potato salad, you're saying, or a tomato salad?
It's a potato salad, but it has tomatoes in it.
Did you salt the water when you were boiling the potatoes?
No, I didn't.
Okay. How much salt did you put in it?
I just kept I have been putting salt in it since I found that it had no taste.
Is it still okay right now, though? Because I don't want to no more salt.
I don't want to go overboard on the salt. So,
what about a vinegar? So that's
vinegar.
usually what is in my potato salad. A vinegar I don't know if you like creamy potato salad, but traditionally we do like a mix in my family of like sour cream and a little bit of mayonnaise, and then like we mix in like a little bit of like cider vinegar or white vinegar. I can send you a recipe, and you kind of like mix it in, and it like kind of just like gives it. Or my mom likes to add, her secret thing is doing like a packet of like the dried Italian dressing, Italian dressing seasoning.
It was secret until 10 seconds ago.
Do you think people are watching this?
There's like I mean, it's the thing is there may not.
Speaking of which, everybody needs to tweet this episode because and the podcast versions that we're sending out, because people like Tony Cava are abandoning us right and left, going back to work. If we don't expand audience, pretty soon we'll be just down to the four of us talking to ourselves. And so you guys gotta step up here and use all the socials, make TikTok videos about us.
But Richard, yeah, I don't know. Scott, what was your idea?
Oh, for potato salad, I would say that in all honesty, you gave the perfect answer. So anything that I would say would be either redundant or wrong.
Well, Richard, do you hate creamy potato salad? Do you like it
No,
without?
no, I'll eat. I don't care about texture. Well, I do care about texture sometimes, but not right now. I just care about taste.
You just want to have something that like wants to taste delicious.
Yes, I don't want to feel like I'm a victim of COVID.
Yes.
Oh.
Oh, because
Because
it doesn't have any taste.
that would be a HIPAA
I almost
violation.
forgot that was a
So-
symptom of COVID.
What?
I almost
Yeah.
forgot that.
Yeah, oh, yeah. But that was just a victim of COVID, a violation of COVID that you just did. Richard, please.
I shouldn't have told you about the taste. That was my bad.
Right.
Oh my
That was-
God.
That
Trying
was.
to get us arrested by the DEF CON people.
Yeah, I'm not even sure. Don't tweet this out because I think every tweet itself is a new HIPAA violation.
Oh, great.
So,
Are my ferocious miniature schnauzers going to protect me from the authorities when they come?
I hear they bring dog treats, so probably not if they're easily
great.
distracted.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I'm a goner.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Richard, let us know how it turns out.
I'll do. Yeah, will do. Take care.
I feel like that was a very car talk moment. So, like, what kind of sound does it make when it's broken? Like, what does it do?
Maybe
when
we
you're
should do.
shifting gears?
Maybe we should do a car talk like episode that all we do is
About
take,
cars.
No. Just we take questions and give advice and stuff. The car talk episodes are not really that much about cars either.
No, they're not. That is kind of the trick of car talk. Oh my God, we should get Tom and Ray as guests. My heart would stop. That would just be, that would be too amazing. Okay, well, we have a couple of questions. I'm trying to rapture Mateo, but he's probably off,
Lisa
on a walk.
at Pet Noodle says she was on Car Talk once.
Oh man,
Ooh.
That
find
is
the episode for us.
that is like I'm verklempt. You need to come on and tell us that story.
Yeah, that does sound like a good story. I mean, hold on. I'm like trying to figure out. So I'm trying to rapture in.
You don't want to do that.
Hi, Richard.
Hi. I don't know
Long
what
time no
happened.
see.
Back from the HIPAA violation.
Yeah,
Whoops. Oh, I hit the wrong button. Sorry, Richard. See, this is what happens when I go to Vegas, and then I like get into all kinds of trouble. Okay, we have Mateo coming on. I want to read James Puckett's question. He said, "Who's the better Paul, Mitch McConnell or Nancy Pelosi? They're both in reliably safe district and state, so it wouldn't necessarily put campaigning in there as a qualifier. But my money is on Pelosi. She worked as a major pieces of legislation with 4 different presidents and got the gavel back." I'm interested to hear people's thoughts. I don't have an insight on this one.
I feel like it could go multiple ways, couldn't it? Because it's like, what is our rubric? Are we saying like just survivability? Because they both are extremely adaptable and have shown that they're willing to do what they need to do to survive within their party and also for their party's like platform. But is that it or like, I don't know.
But I mean, like, I take poll to be like when you use it in that term, who's the better Paul, like poll, like politician.
Yeah.
Like, I take it to be kind of like who's making the backroom deals and like keeping the party together and making the moves that no one else knows about. But then that didn't seem like that was necessarily like the rest of the question. But anyways,
I don't think it's easy to compare them, honestly. Because for one thing, they're trying to do different things. McConnell, Pelosi has shepherded many, many pieces of very major legislation. When McConnell has tried to do that, he has largely failed. He could not get Obamacare repealed despite having a substantial Senate majority. He did manage the tax cut on a number of occasions, but that's the closest thing to consensus Republican politics that exists. On the other hand, McConnell has dark arts capabilities that, are really dramatically impressive. And the thing that he cares about most in life is getting judges confirmed and preventing the other side from getting judges confirmed. That is not a skill that Nancy Pelosi plays with, because the House has no role in it. And so they're emphasizing very different, and he has been just remarkably effective at this over time. The other thing, people forget this about Mitch McConnell, that he cares about most deeply in life is the role of money in politics, which is to say he's for it, and preventing campaign finance reform as liberals understand it, and also shifting the Overton window of what is irregulable. He's been just incredibly effective at that over time. And Pelosi, there's no comparable obsession on her part that you can compare to. So I think they've just tried to do very different things, and they're both really, really effective at what they've done. And if you're comparing it as a matter of art, it's a little bit like comparing an electric guitarist to a bassoonist and saying which one's the better musician. Well, they're both extremely good at what they do, and you can evaluate the morality or political attractiveness of what they do. But if you're just evaluating how good they are at it, look, Pelosi is the best manager of the House of Representatives probably since Tip O'Neill. And she has a much harder job than Tip O'Neill had. So she may be better. She's got, and Mitch McConnell has managed things in the Senate that many of us hoped were impossible. So I don't know how to compare them to one another.
Can I ask a quick question? How differentiated do their skill sets have to be for just the House versus the Senate? Are they extremely different?
They're pretty different.
Okay.
I mean, so, the House, running the House caucus is about managing factions. Running the Senate caucus is about managing individuals. If you're Mitch McConnell, you have to deal with Ted Cruz, right? You have to deal with Josh Hawley, right? There are literally 49 people who Mitch McConnell has to manage, plus he has to manage his relationship with the Democratic caucus, which is kind of a block from his point of view. But Nancy Pelosi is a think of her as a general. She's got a bunch of chieftains working for her, the Adam Schiffs and the Zoe Lofgrens and right, but these are her field commanders, and she's a kind of Eisenhower-like figure. She's not interacting individually with the troops. She's largely not dealing with individuals. She's dealing with teams. And that's just the nature of the fact that she's got 225 people in her group, and you're running that by running crews. And so I think it's one is very bespoke, and the other is a little bit more like being I don't know. It's a little bit more. You can say it has fewer pieces because there are fewer committee chair, which are kind of her big teams, or you can say there are more pieces because there's 220 of them rather than 49 of them. But if you're the Republican caucus leader or the Democratic caucus leader, that's 49 individual chess pieces you have to move. And even the ones who are reliably on your side have super idiosyncratic needs that you have to serve. And so I think I mean, I am not a fan of Mitch McConnell by any means. He is exceptionally skilled.
Any thoughts, Scott?
No, I mean, you gave the perfect potato salad answer. Ben gave the perfect Pelosi McConnell answer.
This next one is for you.
Okay.
Hi, John.
Hi, Kate. My
Nice
question
to see you.
would be a whole show, so I don't know what you want me to do with it. But okay,
Go for it.
so it's been announced that Apple is going to automatically search iPhones for child sexual assault material. And that's today's huge news. And the reason this is a big question is what else can they search for and who else can decide it? It's like, the child porn issue is not such a big deal in of itself, but it's the implications that roll from that.
Yeah.
Go.
Awesome. So this is a big deal because iMessage on Apple and most of their stuff, including their cloud services, is encrypted, and they have made a point about running certain types of hashes for certain types of material in certain types of spaces, but not on various other types of things. So the fact that this is happening is what we would call a backdoor that Apple is voluntarily creating to their end-to-end encrypted kind of network to allow for the screening of CSAM, but unclear whether or not that's going to end. The fear has always been by people who are concerned with privacy and civil liberties versus people who are concerned with the harms that such things
I'm sorry.
help kind of happen, is that this is the beginning of the end.
So I'm sorry. Can I, guys? Because I didn't see any reports on it. Is it that they just agreed to do more hashes, or did they actually literally build a backdoor? Building a backdoor is give this code and then you go right in. I mean, which one is it? Because if it's the latter,
I'll put the TechCrunch link that I wrote about this, that I read about this, and John's correct, we could spend a whole day on it, but I think it's just a good thing to talk about. It's going to use a neural hash, which is its new detection technology, and it's going to use it if there's any type of known child abuse imagery that gets uploaded to iCloud, which this is important because it's not unknown, untagged, unhashed material. It's just there's no AI recognizing that something is inherently child sexual abuse material. So if it's new or novel and hasn't been seen by NCMEC or whoever makes the hash database, then it's not going to be findable.
That feels to me less like a backdoor in the sense of it's just searching for these hashes, so anyway, I'm sorry, I to interrupt.
No, this question was for you. What do you think about it? Do you think it's if they do use just a filter and it's just for hashes?
Yeah, the thing is, I don't. If you're searching for these well-known identifiers, and the thing about a hash is that it's particular to a specific object, and that it's very difficult to go from the hash to the thing itself. So it's very hard to reconstruct things from the hash, but hashes are pretty good at identifying things that are there. So I don't know. By itself, it doesn't sound to me so catastrophic. I guess that's maybe the fear always with the camel's nose under the tent, is that it's just the camel's nose. But I don't know. I haven't read about it. And one of the things that is really quite interesting, when I spoke about Matt Tate, who gave the keynote at Black Hat. When he was on the show a couple of weeks ago, about 3 weeks ago, with Ben, we were talking. He had mentioned that his views about encryption and maybe the need for greater law enforcement access or other types of access to police CSAM, child sexual abuse material, really was affected by him working on those cases, and that they were so disturbing and much and more prevalent than you might have thought. So it's hard to know for somebody. I don't know. Maybe if you were a researcher, you knew these exact numbers. But how prevalent is CSAM? Is it I mean, how do we balance the risk to these minors who are being abused sexually and general concerns about civil liberties? I don't know if we have good numbers on that.
We don't have good numbers. The numbers are huge. I mean,
I see. They way understate. Is your point?
I mean, look. Every time somebody tries to count this, in whatever means you try to count, the numbers always shock you with how big they are. So
really?
I'll give you just one example from personal experience. I tried once to figure out how many sexual extortion cases I could find. And I put a team together to find all the cases of sextortion that had been prosecuted in the United States that we could find. The number of victims was astounding. We found upwards of 80 cases, between them accounting for somewhere between 6,000 and 9,000 victims. And so,
Wow.
Look, I don't know what the right answer with any of these questions is. This is actually how I met Matt Tate years ago, because of these cases. And I don't know what the right answer is with respect to what kind of access for whom, but nobody should understate the magnitude of this problem. It's also not just about kids. It's about, there is a big problem on the child sexual abuse front. There's also a huge problem on the violence against adult women front. The number of victims of adult female victims is very, very high. And there's a big problem in the Department of Non-Out Gays, particularly in parts of the world that we don't think about very much, where people can get killed. But the amount of demanding money or sex for people in exchange for not outing them in a situation in which they can be abused or killed or subject to honor killing if they're outed. Just the magnitude of the problem is super, super big. And I don't know what the right kind of access for whom is to solve it, and I'm not dogmatic on the point, but I do hate it when the techno-libertarians pretend there's not a problem.
Yeah, we should do an episode on this. We should either have Matt Tate back on, or Alex Stamos, he would be great, or like anyone that wants to talk about. Maybe Nick could come back on, or something.
We should have my friend who's if DOJ will let her, she prosecutes these cases. She came to it from computer crimes and not a sex crimes background, but is become obsessed with the sextortion cases. Her name is Mona Setke.
Yep.
Okay. That sounds really interesting. Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna go to Heading's question and wrap up. Hello.
Hi.
Thanks for being so patient.
No problem. Scott, you're in Vegas. You're representing Yale Law School at DEF CON.
He has a big flag. He like waves
Yeah,
it. He's like the Olympics.
definitely. So
He's
yeah,
got a leotard.
And the whenever he waves that Yale Law School, the lights go on, the phone lights go on, and people go, yeah.
Well, I would just to say that you'll see, I do represent Yale Law School. And by the way, I represent Yale Law School in many at many things on this show. By the way, I'm also, the positions that I take are the positions of Yale Law School of my employer. I just want that.
I just want you to know that I'm gonna freeze frame this and print out your QRC code and your badge and just like come to Vegas and shock the fuck out of you.
But because you're not going to. I'm sorry, because you don't have your CDC card.
Well, I'm just going to print one of those out, too.
Going to distribute them to everyone in Vegas, so there'll be like dozens of Scott Shapiro's walking around.
Right.
Meanwhile, back in Hemming's universe.
Yeah, I'm very, very sorry for creating that tangent, but it made me think of something, because I think it's an open secret that hackers in movies are portrayed kind of ridiculous. But that's got me worried that, okay, what else is kind of portrayed ridiculous? I don't know anything about lawyering. Are lawyers portrayed equally ridiculous? Am I just not getting that? Are you cringing as much when you watch lawyers in movies as when you watch in movies?
So this is we need to have a show about this, to portray like the kind of cinematic or media portrayal or common portrayal of lawyers and what being a lawyer is really like, and different kind of pathways. And the thing about hackers and lawyers that I think that are both the same kind of misconception that I see is that it's interesting. And I mean this seriously. So I would just say, it's like if you do what I do, read security papers, computer science papers, dabble around with things, or if you're a security researcher, it's really, could be really interesting stuff, right? The problem is that in this, the great cybercrime group at Cambridge, they put out this article called "Cybercrime is Really Boring." Basically, cybercrime is basically just you have a dashboard and you're just kind of making sure that you're registering for these domain names and making sure that you paid the money for your proxy server. It's just boring. And the people at Reville, partly they're running customer service. I mean, it's really boring. Same thing with being a lawyer. You think you're going into, court and, doing the Perry Mason thing. No, you're
document review.
You're right, exactly. The document review, you're getting boxes and boxes and boxes, and you're going through the documents and you're looking for evidence. You're doing things like that. So there's a sense, I think, obviously you're not going to make a TV show about document production or somebody going through.
Actually, that's Scott. You and I have to write the screenplay about what a real first-year associate goes through, and it would just be like them sitting in a dark room and staring at a wall.
Right. It's a big law. Call it big law or something. And I think the same thing true for so many cyber criminals, that it really is a boring thing to do. But hacking itself and various ways of hacking thing, I think that's terrifically interesting, and I think the high level stuff about it's really interesting. It's just, the practical, it's what it's what they don't teach you before you get to professional hacker school.
It's like being a spy, and how being a spy or being an undercover cop or whatever is like mostly sitting in a car on stakeouts, which are incredibly boring, staring
Well, you
at
know,
what's happening.
there's a great joke about this. There's a great joke about this, and we will close with the joke. So, a person, gentleman dies after living a long life, and goes to see St. Peter, and St. Peter says, you're kind of on the edge. I'm going to give you a choice. The guy thinks about it. He says, look, I've heard all the hype, but tell me a little bit about heaven and hell. St. Peter says, I can do you better than tell you. I can show you. You want to see what heaven's like? And the guy says, sure. And he says, whoosh. And the guy sees a scene unfold before him, and it's a whole lot of people with wings on, sitting around reading the Bible, looking very pious and bored. And he says, it looks kind of dull. Let me see hell. So St. Peter waves his arm, and a tavern scene opens up before him, and everybody's sitting around with tankards, and they're singing songs together, and they're carousing, and they're having a great time. And he says, I know it's not the right choice, but I'm going to go with hell. And St. Peter says, as I said, the choice is yours. And he waves his arm, and the guy finds himself in a barren salt plain with a sulfurous odor, and these jets of flame shooting up from the ground, and a little devil with a pitchfork comes up to him and pokes him with the fork and ties him up on a spit and puts him over one of the jetting flames and kind of, rotisseries him. And he says, wait a minute, this is not what St. Peter showed me. And the devil said, yeah, but then you were a summer associate. We are not allowed to have fun anymore. We are allowed to have cheese night. We will be back tomorrow. Who's our guest going to be, Scott?
Lauren Weisinger. We're going to be talking about how to teach people how to hack.
We're going to be doing hacking from DEF CON. It'll be 22 hours and 51 minutes from now. And until then, whoever wants to jump in?
Genevieve.
Okay. We don't have fun anymore, but in lieu of fun, thank God we have cheese night.
Yeah.
You got it, man. Okay.